Welcome back to the Metabolic Revolution podcast. I'm Dr. Steve Presciutti, and today I'm going to tell you something that might save your metabolism and possibly your life. Stop exercising. At least stop exercising the way you've been taught. Before we dive in, this is educational content only, not medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your exercise routine. Now, let's destroy some sacred cows. This is episode 8. And if you've been following along, you know we don't just challenge conventional wisdom, we demolish it with science. We've exposed how PUFAs poison your cells, revealed energy as the master key to health, shown you why your gut might be sabotaging you, vindicated sugar and salt, exposed the cholesterol scam, and revealed the protein obsession that's aging you prematurely. Today, I'm going after the holy grail of health advice: exercise. And what I'm about to share might be the most important information you'll ever hear about fitness. Let me start with a confession. For 10 years, I was practicing spinal surgeon, the one who told exhausted mothers to just exercise more, who prescribed cardio to depressed patients, who congratulated people for their 6 a.m. CrossFit dedication while they sat in my office with a body temperature of 96 degrees, completely fried. I was literally prescribing metabolic destruction. And I'm sorry, I didn't understand the nuance here that I think is going to blow your mind too. Here's what changed everything for me. I had a patient, let's call her Rachel, 38 years old, marathon runner, yoga instructor, picture of health from the outside. She came to me because she'd stopped having periods, couldn't sleep, was gaining weight despite running 50 miles a week, and felt like she was, quote, aging in dog years. Her cortisol was through the roof. Her thyroid was completely suppressed. Her testosterone was undetectable. Her body temperature, 95.8 degrees. She was literally dying from fitness. When I suggested she stop running, she looked at me like I'd suggested she stop breathing. But exercise is healthy, she protested. It's the only thing keeping me sane. That's when I realized we've created a generation of exercise addicts who are literally running themselves into the ground. And the sickest part, the worse they feel, the harder they push, thinking more exercise is the solution to the problems exercise created. Let me be crystal clear. Movement is essential for health. But what we call exercise in modern culture, it's often the opposite of healthy. It's a stress bomb that destroys your metabolism, suppresses your thyroid, depletes your hormones, and ages you at warp speed. Here's the science they don't teach in personal training certification. When you engage in intense exercise, and by intense, I mean anything that significantly elevates your heart rate for extended periods, your body interprets it as an emergency, fight or flight, life or death. Your hypothalamus signals your pituitary, which signals your adrenals. Boom. Cortisol floods your system. In the short term, this mobilizes energy. You feel that runner's high, that CrossFit buzz. But here's what's actually happening at the cellular level. Cortisol triggers gluconeogenesis. Your liver starts frantically converting protein to glucose. Where does that protein come from? Your muscles, your organs, your thymus gland, critical for immunity. You're literally cannibalizing yourself for fuel. Meanwhile, cortisol directly suppresses thyroid hormone conversion. It blocks T4 from becoming active T3. It increases reverse T3, the metabolic brake pedal. Within hours of intense exercise, your metabolic rate starts dropping. Your body thinks you're fleeing from a predator or fighting for survival. It's not going to waste energy on luxuries like reproductive function, tissue repair, or cognitive function. The research on this is staggering, but it's buried because there's no money in telling people to exercise less. A study on female athletes found that those training more than 5 hours per week had significantly suppressed T3 levels, elevated cortisol, and disrupted menstrual cycles. Their metabolic rate was 15 to 20% lower than sedentary controls. They were burning fewer calories at rest despite hours of training. Male athletes? Same story. Chronic endurance training consistently shows decreased testosterone, elevated cortisol, suppressed thyroid function, and accelerated aging markers. Marathon runners have the same cardiovascular plaque buildup as sedentary people. Ultra-endurance athletes show myocardial scarring. We're literally seeing people exercise themselves to death. But here's where it gets really dark. The metabolic suppression from chronic exercise creates a vicious cycle. You exercise hard, suppress your metabolism, feel tired, and gain weight, so you exercise harder. Each round of increased intensity further suppresses your metabolism. Eventually, you're that person eating 1,000 calories running 10 miles a day and still gaining weight. I call it exercise-induced hypothyroidism, and it's epidemic. Let's talk about what's really happening during your workout. First 20 minutes, you're burning through stored glycogen. That's fine if you have adequate stores, but most people exercising intensely are also restricting carbs. So after those first 20 minutes, you're not burning fat like you think. You're producing massive amounts of stress hormones to maintain blood glucose. Your liver is in overdrive converting amino acids to glucose. Your adrenals are pumping out adrenaline and cortisol. Free fatty acids flood your bloodstream. And as we learned in the PUFA episode, these interfere with glucose metabolism and create oxidative stress. Lactic acid builds up, creating an acidic environment that further suppresses metabolism. And what about that, quote, afterburn effect everyone loves? Well, that elevated post-exercise metabolic rate is really your body frantically trying to recover from the damage. It's inflammation. It's stress hormones remaining elevated. It's not a benefit. It's a sign of metabolic disruption. And here's the part that will really blow your mind. Traditional cultures, the ones we look to for health wisdom, they didn't exercise. They moved, they walked, they danced, they carried things, they played, but they didn't strap on a heart rate monitor and grind themselves into dust for an hour every morning. The Hadza hunter-gatherers, often cited as supremely healthy, walk about 6 to 8 miles throughout their day. Not running, walking, with frequent rest. The Blue Zone population's famous for longevity, gentle movement throughout the day, gardening, walking to the market, never intense, never depleting. Dr. Ray Peat put it beautifully. Exercise is a stress, and like any stress, it can be beneficial in small amounts, but becomes harmful when chronic or excessive. He advocated for what he called metabolically supportive movement, activities that enhance energy production rather than deplete it. But here's the crucial insight that changes everything. And this goes back to Hans Selye's groundbreaking work on stress physiology. Any benefit we get from exercise comes despite the stress it places on the body, not because of it. Let that sink in. We've been sold the idea that stress makes us stronger, that we need to push through pain, that the burn means it's working. But what if that's completely backwards? Selye showed us decades ago that the body has a general adaptation syndrome to stress. Any stress, physical, emotional, chemical, triggers the same response. First alarm, then resistance, then exhaustion. Exercise is just another stressor in this equation. Both Jay Feldman and Mike Fave have explained this beautifully from a bioenergetic perspective. When you have abundant cellular energy, when your metabolism is firing on all cylinders, your body can handle stress and actually adapt positively. The exercise becomes a brief challenge that your well-fueled system easily overcomes. But when you're already depleted, when your temperature is 96 degrees and you're running on stress hormones just to get through the day, that workout isn't making you stronger. It's accelerating your breakdown. It's the difference between stress with resources versus stress without resources. Think about it. Traditional cultures that exhibit remarkable health and longevity don't exercise. They move. They have abundant energy from nutrient-dense foods. Their movement is a natural expression of vitality, not a desperate attempt to create it. We've confused the cart for the horse. Movement should flow from energy abundance, not be used as a tool to try to generate energy you don't have. When you're truly healthy, you want to move. When you're depleted, forcing movement is just another nail in your metabolic coffin. As Ray Peat said, the metabolic rate is one of the fundamental protective mechanisms higher organisms have evolved to deal with virtually any stressor. When that rate is high, you're resilient. When it's low, every stressor, including exercise, becomes potentially harmful. The science is clear on this. Acute stress can strengthen the system through hormesis, but only if you have the energy reserves to fully recover and rebuild. Without adequate energy, you're just breaking down faster than you can build up. You're aging and fast forward while believing you're getting healthier. This is why properly fueled, brief, infrequent exercise can be beneficial. Your body has the resources to adapt positively, but chronic, depleting exercise in an already stressed state, that's metabolic suicide. So what does metabolically supportive movement look like? First, it's fueled. You never exercise in a depleted state. No more fasted workouts. Make sure you have adequate glycogen stores. You might even sip on orange juice with a pinch of salt during the activity, like a homemade sports drink of sorts. You're giving your body the fuel it needs, so it doesn't have to cannibalize itself during and after the workout as much. Second, the workout is brief. We're talking 15 to 20 minutes of actual work, not hours. Studies show that strength training sessions longer than 45 minutes reliably elevate cortisol to problematic levels. The sweet spot? 20 to 30 minutes total, including rest periods. Third, the exercise is infrequent. Every day is absolutely not better. Your body needs 48 to 72 hours to fully recover from any significant stress. That includes exercise stress. Training every day is like picking at a wound and wondering why it won't heal. Fourth, the workouts prioritize strength over endurance. Brief, intense muscular contractions, like lifting something heavy a few times, create a different hormonal response than sustained cardio. You get growth hormone and testosterone release without the prolonged cortisol elevation. You maintain muscle mass, which is metabolically active tissue. Let me give you a real-world example. Tom came to me as a CrossFit addict, 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. Paleo diet. Body fat wouldn't budge despite brutal workouts. He was exhausted and irritable. His wife was even ready to leave him because he had zero sex drive. His morning temperature, 96.2. Testosterone, 200 nanograms per deciliter. That's elderly man levels for a 35-year-old. His thyroid, all markers were suppressed across the board. Here's what we did with him. I cut his exercise to twice a week. 30 minutes of basic strength training. That's it. We also added 400 grams of carbs daily. Yes, including white rice and fruit. I told him to put salt on everything to taste. 6 weeks later, his temperature was 98.4. His testosterone had shot up to over 600. He had lost 15 pounds eating 3 times as much. And yes, his wife sent me a thank you card that I can't repeat in polite company. The transformation wasn't from working harder. It was from working smarter. We showed him how to support his metabolism instead of destroying it. And this is also exactly what we teach in our Bioenergetic Reset program. How to move in ways that enhance rather than deplete. How to fuel properly for any activity. How to know when you're doing too much. For $133 a month, you learn to work with your biology, not against it. Okay, let's talk about specific types of exercise and their metabolic impact. Steady-state cardio, jogging, cycling, elliptical. This is probably the worst for metabolism. It's prolonged stress without sufficient stimulus for adaptation. It depletes glycogen, elevates cortisol for hours, and preferentially burns muscle tissue for fuel. High-intensity interval training, better than steady state, but still problematic if overdone. The intensity spikes cortisol dramatically. Fine once a week. Metabolically destructive daily. What about yoga? It depends on the type. Gentle restorative yoga can be excellent. It activates parasympathetic nervous system. But hot yoga or intense vinyasa, that's just cardio in disguise with the added stress of heat exposure. Weight training? This can be metabolically supportive if done correctly. Brief sets and adequate rest are a must. The goal is stimulation, not absolute annihilation. Think minimum effective dose. And what about walking? Honestly, this is the king of metabolically supportive movement. Gentle walking, especially after meals, improves insulin sensitivity without stress. It aids digestion, supports circulation, and actually lowers cortisol. Our ancestors walked, a lot, but at a pace where they could maintain conversation. Here's my prescription for metabolically supportive movement. Walk every day, 20 to 30 minutes, ideally after meals. Use a comfortable pace, and definitely outside if possible so you can stack proper light exposure and possibly even grounding benefits if you lose those rubber-soled shoes. On top of that, twice weekly, Do brief strength training, 20 to 30 minutes total. Focus on major movements. Squat, push, pull. 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Always to failure, but also always leaving the gym feeling energized and not depleted. In addition, an optional workout each week of something you enjoy can do wonders for your physical and mental health. Dance, swim, play, but always keep the activity playful, not punishing. That's it. That's all you need for optimal health with respect to exercise. Anything more is likely doing more harm than good. Unless, again, you're a professional athlete or someone who properly manages their caloric intake and recovery. Now I know what you're thinking. But Dr. Steve, what about cardiovascular fitness? What about burning calories? What about those endorphins? Let's address each one. Cardiovascular fitness? Yes, your heart is a muscle. But brief, intense contractions, like lifting weights, strengthen it without the oxidative stress of prolonged cardio. Walking provides all the circulation benefits without the cortisol bomb. Burning calories? This is perhaps the biggest exercise myth. You cannot out-exercise a broken metabolism. The calories burned during exercise are trivial compared to your resting metabolic rate. Fix your metabolism with proper nutrition and thyroid support, and you'll burn more calories sleeping than most people do exercising. Endorphins? You know what else releases endorphins? Eating delicious food, having sex, playing with children, laughing. You don't need to brutalize yourself for that one neurochemical response. The real tragedy is that exercise, when done correctly, can be incredibly beneficial. It can improve insulin sensitivity, support bone density, maintain muscle mass, enhance mood. But we've perverted it into a form of socially acceptable self-harm. I see it every day. People who wear their exhaustion like a badge of honor, who brag about their 5 a.m. workout while mainlining coffee just to function, who are literally aging and fast forward while believing they're doing something healthy. If you're one of these people, I want you to know, it's not your fault. You've been lied to by an industry that profits from your exhaustion. Gym memberships, workout programs, fitness trackers, supplements to support your depleted state. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on destroying your metabolism. But here's the hope. Your body wants to heal. Stop the chronic stress of excessive exercise, support your metabolism with adequate fuel, and watch your energy return. Your hormones rebalance. Your body composition improves without the grinding effort. For those ready to completely transform their relationship with movement, our one-on-one coaching provides personalized protocols based on your current metabolic state. We use temperature, pulse, and hormonal markers to determine exactly how much and what type of movement serves your unique physiology. Okay, let me share one more story that drives this home, my own personal story. 6 years ago, I was that doctor who practiced what he preached, 5:30 a.m. boot camp classes, weekend warrior racing, intermittent fasting because autophagy. I looked fit from the outside, but I was dying on the inside. My testosterone was down to 290. My thyroid antibodies were through the roof. My daily cortisol pattern was completely inverted. I was 36 years old and felt 70. The day I stopped exercising intensely was the day my life changed. Within 3 months of switching to walking and brief strength training while eating properly to support my metabolism, everything transformed for me. My energy returned. My libido came roaring back. I looked younger at 40 than I did at 35. My colleagues thought I was crazy. "You're going to get fat and lazy," they warned. Instead, I got lean and energized, because I finally understood exercise is a tool, not a religion. Use it wisely, and it enhances health. Abuse it, and it destroys you. This brings us to a crucial point about recovery. In our culture, we celebrate the workout and ignore the recovery. But adaptation, getting stronger, fitter, healthier, only happens during recovery, not during the stress itself. If you're constantly exercising, you're constantly stressed and you're never adapting. Elite athletes understand this. They have entire teams managing their recovery. Massage, precise nutrition, monitored sleep. For every hour of training, they have multiple hours of recovery support. Yet weekend warriors think they can train like athletes while living stressed, underfueled lives. Here's what proper recovery looks like. Adequate calories, especially carbohydrates, to replenish glycogen. Quality sleep, 8+ hours in a cool, dark room. And don't forget the stress management, because life stress and exercise stress are additive. And last but not least, proper hydration with minerals, not just plain water. We talked about the importance of this in our episode on salt. If you must exercise intensely, maybe you're an athlete or genuinely love your sport, then it becomes critical to support your body properly. Never train fasted. Have simple carbs before and during training. Eat a substantial meal immediately after. Take your rest days seriously. Monitor your temperature and pulse. If they drop, you're overtraining. Our Energy Reset Essentials mini course includes specific protocols for athletes and exercise enthusiasts who want to maintain their activity while supporting metabolism. For $39, you learn how to fuel for performance without metabolic destruction. Okay, as we wrap up, I want to address the elephant in the room. What about all those studies showing exercise benefits? Here's the dirty secret. Most exercise research compares exercisers to completely sedentary people eating standard American diets. Of course, any movement beats zero movement. But when you compare moderate, supported movement to intense, depleting exercise, studies consistently show that the moderate movers win every time. Better hormones, better longevity, better quality of life. The problem is that they just don't make documentaries about people who take pleasant walks. That doesn't sell the same way. Now, I understand that this bioenergetic view to movement and exercise is revolutionary in its simplicity, and that it's completely counter to what we've been told for decades. But hey, don't take my word for it. Try this out and see how it works for you. I'm more than confident you will feel better, because the science doesn't lie. Support your metabolism first. Move in ways that feel good. Stop when you're still feeling energized, not exhausted. Fuel your activity. Prioritize recovery. Trust your body's signals over your commercial fitness tracker. Coming up next week, we're tackling another controversial topic: the truth about fasting and meal timing. What if I told you that intermittent fasting might be the worst thing you can do for your metabolism, that eating more frequently could actually help you lose weight? Get ready to question everything about when to eat. In addition to these solo episodes, keep an eye out for our deep dive conversations between our BioSpark Health researchers. They go even deeper into the science, exploring complex topics like exercise-induced mitochondrial dysfunction and the hormonal cascades of overtraining. Fascinating stuff for those who want the full picture. Remember, movement is medicine, but like any medicine, the dose makes the poison. You don't need to earn your food through exercise. You don't need to punish your body into submission. You need to support your metabolism and move in ways that enhance life, not deplete it. This is Dr. Steve Presciutti from BioSpark Health reminding you, you came to the right place. The fitness industry wants you exhausted and dependent. We want you energized and free. The choice is yours. Please remember, everything discussed today is educational information, not medical advice. Work with a healthcare provider who understands metabolic health to create your personalized movement plan. And don't forget, your body isn't lazy, it's wise. Maybe it's time to listen to it. If you want to learn more, let's talk.